guys, welcome back. This is Jenny from Polly's Paper Studio, and this is day 6 of our 12 Days of Christmas in July series. If you are just joining us, I will leave a link in the description for the first 5 tutorials so you can catch up on those. And for today's project, I am sharing how I create quick tags with a little bit of work ahead to use up scraps, and how I am organizing some of my supplies so that I can be ready to create quick tags when I need them. One of the things I really enjoy making during the holiday season are tags, and they can be for gifts or for labeling a handmade treat, or maybe you want to add them to your decor. And the fun thing about tags is that you can really mix and match. If you're working with your scraps, make yourself a kit with tag bases and different embellishments, and you can have a lot of fun creating unique looks for each one. And that makes them really quick and easy to make. And if you enjoy crafting while you have your program on, like I do, this is good busy work. You don't really have to focus so much on it because things are already cut. So you're just going to assemble them and add some fun embellishments. So I've got this just regular stitched tag die. Everyone makes them. You can probably get them from any manufacturer. So find one that's the right fit for your size, and just grab your pile of scraps. These are just offcuts that are from previous projects, so there may be just some portion left that didn't get used, and if it will fit that tag, I can cut that out. Then I'll make myself a little pile to work with, and if I've got the pieces down so that they're too small to cut the full-size tag, sometimes you still like that pattern and you can use a portion of the die here on the bottom. So I've gone through and cut a fair few of the just smaller portions off with that. Now I know they're going to fit perfectly, see? And now I can just add that as a layer. And when you got quite a few of them, you can go through and mix and match them and create unique tags quickly with all of your scrap pieces. So I've got a fair few of those cut, and I've been working through this pile. Another thing you can do is to look at some of your supplies that are not necessarily meant for Christmas. So I've got some artsy, they're just meant to do like labels or tags or brackets, and they're not really Christmassy, but if you stamp them in Christmas colors, you can really kind of customize them for the season. This particular one I stamped with green, and then I used a set of letter stamps that I've picked up here. You can see these all kind of snap together, so it makes it easy to see what you're stamping and keep all of the letters together and spaced properly. So I just stamped another label and put Mary in the middle with red, and now that suddenly becomes a very Christmassy holiday addition to your project. So I put hashtag Christmas. Here's one that says festive. So it worked out well to have that hashtag because some of the holiday words didn't fill that space exactly how I wanted it, but use your creativity and come up with different holiday words that you can add. And then I also went through my scraps of mirror cardstock and cut out a fair few of these little sentiments, and they are a great way to use up that precious, very gorgeous cardstock. So if you have many different types of embellishments ready, if you are more ambitious than I am, I didn't sit and cut a lot of little doilies out, but you could do that. That's busy work that just keeps you productive, but not necessarily creative at the moment. So when you do feel like creating, you'll have lots of things prepared. Here's another of those tags. I cut this one with a little bit smaller just so you could see you could do whatever size, and then I picked out a journal card to cut apart, and I just fussy cut the image out, and this was the sentiment that was at the bottom. And I used a small stitched banner shape and just cut that out. So when I am ready to assemble this tag, all I have to do is add some spacers maybe, or some trims and an eyelet, and this is so easy. It's just already basically done, and it was just a piece of scrap and a journal card. So how easy is that? Here are some of the tags I created with the kit that I made for myself earlier today. So these are all that larger size tag, and I'm using just a combination of stamped images. So I picked out this really cute holiday sentiment, and I stamped that with red ink, and then I used a smaller tag die to cut that out. I also added some gold Signo pen to the outside just to give it a little bit extra detail. I put a little twine through the top here and added some of my handmade flowers. So this is pretty simple. It will be a very thoughtful extra addition to a gift or a handmade treat. I've also cut 110-pound white cardstock to add to the back, so that if you want to, add your to and from and the date, you can do that with a nice sentiment. If people keep them to hang them on their tree later, they might want to remember that you were thoughtful and gave them this tag last year. Or if you have baked something and it has wheat or nuts or allergy type, ingredients, and you want to make sure people know that they're there, you can add that on the back. And you can really go to town on these and put so many sequins or bows or whatever, but I'm just kind of building up to very simple, and then I'll put more embellishments on so they'll all be even more detailed. So for instance, this one had a pattern of paper on the back that I liked, so I just flipped that for the bottom. The Believe was one of the die cut with a mirror cardstock, and some more of my handmade flowers here. This is a beautiful deer that I stamped and die cut. I think it just looks extra festive on that white doily. I put some eyelets here on the top so the twine wouldn't pull through, but if you wanted, you could also add a nice large bow or some pearly accents just to make it more festive. And then a little bit of tinsel here, and that matches my sentiment. So this tag turned into a shaker, and that was so easy to create. I just cut the tag die out of the pattern paper. And then I used a square die to just take that small portion out and put a piece of a journal card behind there, and added my sequins and some of these flowers. For this tag, I wanted to kind of make a warm and woodsy feel, so I took some paper that wasn't from my Christmas stash, this kind of log wood pattern, and added a little plaid to that. And for the focal image, I just took one of my journal cards and cut it with the stitched oval, and I think it looks absolutely gorgeous when it's got the extra faux snow accent on there. And then I popped that up with a little bit of foam and details like those flowers and gold twine. That was pretty easy to create. This one has another of those journal cards. I used a circle die and took the focal image down to the right size for fitting into this doily that's layered on the different pattern papers. And then again, I took that smaller banner shaped die and cut out the sentiment that was already on the card. So that was pretty easy because I knew it would coordinate. It was already together, so that works. And then this last card that's already made is a duplicate of this background, but I decided to add a small village. So these little houses were die cut from white cardstock, and then I added some gold paint to them. For the background, I just used that same oval die and cut it out of black cardstock, and then I used this Memento Lux ink and stamped on this really super tiny sentiment so that it would be in the background. And then I added more of that faux snow here, and then a small star that is attached with my tiny attacher. Here is one of those labels I mentioned before that I created with the tabbed stamp and die, and some of those beautiful flowers. So I've also included some like berry stems just for an extra added detail. So when you go through your journal cut aparts, you really have an opportunity to create some good focal images for smaller cards. Like this is the bin that I keep mine in. This is just Christmas, and they're from all of my collections that are not current or specific design teams. So I know this is a point of concern for some people to cut into collections. They're not really mixed up. I've got each like section. This is Simple Stories. This is last year's Simple Stories. All of these are with their collection, so they're not going to get stirred up too much, but I really do find that I will use these if they are easily accessible, and then I can flip through them. And there's so many that I've forgotten I've had because they've been in a sleeve with paper. So I just went ahead and cut all of them out. Now, you see, if you have this tag, you can take, you know, that part of that image out and then use some of the plaid on the bottom to fill in the rest of the portion that would be the full length of the tag, and that's just absolutely gorgeous already, and it would have been sitting in a sleeve forgotten this whole time. Many of them have a portion that you could use the little banner shapes and remove a portion of that. See, I could put this one on here and remove the Mary and add that as a nice sentiment. Or I could take and fussy cut around this 25 or this holiday. So think about not using the whole card as a single unit, but what you could do with it if you took the, you know, different images off of the front. So I've got like many of them in here would be so perfect for tags, because you see you can fussy cut around those mittens and then use the small die to remove the sentiment and add that back on with different layers. And that's just something that you can use to size a larger journal card into a tag scale. So like for instance, I've got these are from Cartabella, and I definitely would use this tag here because you're going to get the whole sentiment, and then maybe pull in that for the bottom. I think that would look absolutely gorgeous, and it's already done. So use your journal cards for your tags as well, and if you want to be able to flip through them like I do, make yourself a system where you can organize them and have them on hand and not hidden in your closet. So for me, I don't have IKEA furniture. I just have vintage furniture, and so I don't have any ready-made, easy to purchase storage units. This particular one is just an acrylic bin, and I created my own. I don't know if you can see that, separators in there with 110-pound cardstock in my scoreboard, so I can keep all these very organized. And then 3 of these fit on the shelf, so I can keep these cards easy to access and use more regularly. Another thing I did to make the process of using my scraps easier was to pull, this isn't a sticker sheet, but the rest of them are, pull the sticker sheets out of your collections, because you're just not going to use them if they're put away in a sleeve. And once you've had a collection and gone through and made several projects, I think it's fair game to coordinate your stickers with other collections. I think as long as you like it together, then it works. And it doesn't always have to be Cartabella or, you know, Simple Stories. You can match collections or different brands as long as you like how it looks. So these are all perfect for tags. Like they're, well, maybe that one's a little bit big, but there are so many different elements that you can layer on and mix and match. And that way you're going to get a really uniquely you project. So go through here and find a little Scotty dog and put it with a bingo card and make something that is layered and fun and specifically your style. So I think this is going to be a better way for me to get use out of my sticker sheets. I'll show you how easy it is to put these together now that we've got our basic supplies prepared with all the die cuts and the flowers and images. So I've got this particular green dot and I'm backing that onto the heavier weight cardstock. Here is a companion pattern that is partially cut, so it's going to have that stitched detail but only come halfway up the tag. Here is a small reinforcing spot that I created with more of that scrap, and I'll just add that to the top. And here's my focal image. It's one of those sweet sentiments. I cut that with this die, and then I used my gold Signo pen around the outside to give it some extra detail. And I like to also get use out of the portion of the foam spacers that gets left behind when you remove the cutout parts. So I'm just using that to attach. I've got some twine here, and this is going right into that top, and I'll pull the tails through to secure it, and then add some of these sweet little flowers to the bottom. And there I've got a tag that was so quick to put together, and it is really sweet. And I'm just going to continue to make these tags and put them in a bin so that I have them ready when I need them. I think they would also make really lovely random act of kindness tags. Here's another of my die cut tag shapes. I'm putting the reinforcer on the top. Here is the coordinating pattern. It was on the back, so I just cut an additional piece out that I can layer. Now I've got a small doily. I cut this from just white because I want to see the details. I don't want all the pattern to make it too busy. Here's another little bit of twine that I can add. And I'm doing this in real time, y'all. This is just going just this quickly. Once you have all your little pieces prepared, you can really assemble them and have many of them done quickly. So here is my deer. That's similar to the one on the first tag. And I'm just going to use spacers again because I think it helps to create a better focal image if it has some dimension. Then I'll bring back that label that I showed in the beginning. And add that to the bottom. Then I'll top it with this beautiful arrangement of poinsettia with gold twine bows. And that tag is done as well. So you can see how quickly that went together. I created 2 in real time. That just went super fast. And here are some of my other tags that I created with my scraps and my stamps and my office supplies. So here is just a sample of some tags that you can create by preparing your scraps ahead of time and adding some die cuts and ephemera cards and some handmade flowers. This is day 6 of our 12 Days of Christmas in July series. If you enjoyed this video, please come back tomorrow. We have more holiday inspiration coming your way. Please leave me a comment and give me a thumbs up. I enjoy reading your feedback so much. If you're not already, I would love for you to subscribe. And as always, I'm wishing you a happy and productive day, and I thank you so much for watching.